Hey beauties, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is a get ready with me while getting to know me a little bit better video. I posed a question on YouTube maybe about a week ago now, asking you guys to submit some questions on things that you'd be interested in learning about me. And I got some great questions. Some of them were more makeup related while others were more personal. So I saved those for a video at a later date, and I went ahead and tackled all of the makeup related questions in today's video. So if you'd like to hear more about my makeup experiences, as well as see how I achieved this makeup look right here, just keep watching. Alright, so my eyelids are primed with a little bit of concealer. I'm going to take my Laura Mercier bronzer and this fluffy brush, and I'm just going to buff this in the crease as a transition shade. And I'm really creating a very basic smoky eye that you've probably seen a lot on my channel. I sort of have a go-to look whenever I'm doing a sit down and I'm just talking in a video and not doing my makeup. I go between a few sort of standard eye looks, and today we're doing a little bit of a smoky eye, so I am going to drag this out a little bit and just sort of exaggerate that cat eye outer V area. With my little holiday single eyeshadow from Chanel, I'm going to take the copper eyeshadow and I'm going to put that all over the lid using a flat shader brush. I'm going to go ahead and, with my original blending brush, just sort of soften that. So the first question on the list says, when did you first start wearing makeup and what was your first purchase? This is a great question. I was actually introduced or exposed to makeup very early on because I started dance lessons at 3 years old, and I danced all the way growing up through high school. Even after college, I cheered on the Tampa Bay Lightning as a Lightning girl for 2 seasons. So I've always had exposure to makeup. It's probably middle school. My mom used to take us to the makeup counter with her, and it was always very special, like a treat. So we either had to have straight A's on a report card, or we did a lot of chores around the house, something where our reward would be to go with her to the store, and it was usually the Clinique counter, and then later on it was the Lancome counter. Whoever had a gift with purchase, really. And my mom always wanted us to sit down, have somebody else's opinion. The woman would be so kind and gracious and, you know, show me a few natural looking makeup products, and then I could choose maybe a couple to take with me. That was really my introduction to makeup really early on. And then in terms of my very first purchase, there's not really one thing that stands out to me. I'm sure it was a lipstick or something like that. I did tell this story once, and this is probably the first real purchase of meaning. In high school, I had saved up a lot of money with my friend. We were teaching cheerleading lessons, and I went to the Chanel counter to purchase a bottle of Chanel Chance because I just loved that fragrance. I wanted to be an adult. I felt like it was a very mature woman fragrance, and I had saved all of my pennies and I went to the store to purchase. And while I was there, I also picked up a pink frosty lip gloss, which I think I probably wore a handful of times. Next, I'm going to be taking the black single eyeshadow from the holiday collection, and with a tapered eyeshadow brush, I'm just going to deepen this outer V, outer crease, outer lid area, keeping it sort of low. I don't want it to get too smoky, but just really in this entire area, I'm just going to add this black shade. It's always really sweet to me now whenever I'm at work and I see a mother and daughter, or sometimes even like more recently, I saw a little daughter and father go to the makeup counter and sit down and pick out a few products, and you can tell that the young daughter is just getting into makeup and seeing how it's so special for them, and the parents allowing them to sort of explore their individuality, get creative, pick out a few things. Next, with my flat shader brush, I'm going into the Electrum Lame eyeshadow, and I'm going to pop just a little bit of that right on the center. But I'm keeping it in the center and then a little bit inside, not covering up that dark black that we just laid down. And the next question says, how did you first get into makeup? And I sort of addressed that, I think, in the original question. I first got into makeup very early on, performing on stage as a dancer. Of course, growing up with an older sister and wanting to mimic her and follow the exact same thing that she did. I got into makeup more professionally whenever I started working in broadcasting. So after college, I moved back home. I was an English major at the University of Florida in Gainesville, and I cheered for the Lightning. I did internships, and I built up a reel. I started my career as a local news personality in, I don't even remember what year. About 2 years after I graduated, I landed my first gig as an anchor reporter in Lafayette, Louisiana, which I always joke that I could not have pointed it out on a map, but as soon as I got that email from the news director saying, we're gonna hire you, I was like, oh, thank God, I'm moving to Lafayette. I don't know anything about this town, and it was such a beautiful experience. But working in television, definitely you have to know your way around makeup a little bit. I really started getting into it more so after I made the jump to WGNO, the ABC affiliate in New Orleans. So that was my last job as an anchor reporter. And that's really where I started getting into makeup as a hobby, taking it a little bit more seriously, because of course everything had transitioned to HD, and I was really a lot more concerned with making sure that my makeup looked sharp. I'm sure in larger studios and smaller or larger market, smaller market, which way does it go? In markets like New York, LA, Chicago, I'm sure there's a working makeup artist who's there to help the talent, but in all of my stations, I had to do it myself. I always had blotting powder, I always had the oil absorbing sheets, a lipstick, several lipsticks, mascara. What else? I kept a really great little backup bag of makeup with me at all times, because you never know when you're gonna go live, when you had to be on camera for this, that, and the other. So that's when I started to really get into makeup. And then after I met Gary, we ended up moving to Nashville, Tennessee, and that's where I started with Chanel. I'm going to prime my face with the CC cream from Chanel, just to give me a little bit more hydration and a little bit more coverage on my chin, since I am dealing with a little bit of a breakout. For foundation, I'm going in with my Lancome Tinty Doll. Next up, I'm going to go in with concealer under my eyes and to highlight. So just a few dabs. I'm going to set my face with my loose powder from Chanel. And I'm only going to use a small amount. A little bit goes such a long way. And then I'm feeling so pale, so I'm going to go in with bronzer, and I am using my Laura Mercier Baked Bronzer. The next question says, what is your favorite and least favorite high-end brand? So my favorite is Chanel, for many reasons that you may not even know about. And then least favorite, I think, is Tough, because there are definitely luxury brands that I'm not as familiar with. I don't own a lot of products, if anything, but I wouldn't say they're my least favorite. But Chanel is definitely my favorite, not just because of their incredible training and the incredible heritage of the brand and how beautiful everything is, but also simply because of the time in my life whenever I had the opportunity to work for Chanel. I was living in Nashville. I had moved with my now husband, who was just my boyfriend at the time. We got engaged in Nashville. So we were boyfriend and girlfriend living together. We had lived in, at this point, 2 states together. And I moved to Nashville with no job. So I didn't know anybody. I had no place to go. I didn't really have any reason to leave the apartment except to go to the grocery store, which I had no idea where the grocery store even was. It was a really tough transition period for our relationship, for me personally, because Gary was also traveling for work. So he would be gone Monday through Friday and come home on weekends exhausted. I had a few contacts at different news stations. So in my mind, I was so confident that we could make the move and I would get a job at one of the news stations and it would be a very easy transition. But you know what they say, when you make plans, God laughs, or God laughs when you make plans. It did not work out that way. So I didn't have a job for maybe 6 months. And I had started my YouTube channel. I actually did my very first video in our kitchen in New Orleans. But I wasn't really inspired. I didn't know anything about makeup. I wasn't in the industry. Not to say that you need to be in the industry to have a beauty channel. But I just was sort of lost. I knew I loved makeup, but it wasn't something that I had done previously as a career. And I hadn't even really considered it up until that point. And finally, I put in some applications and I got hired at my local Nordstrom as the business manager for Chanel. And can I just say that changed my world for so many reasons. It changed everything. I was a happier person. I got a chance to meet people. I could explore Nashville in this amazing city that we had moved to. I had purpose again in my life. It was better for our relationship. It was just such a great experience to be trained by one of the best brands, if not, in my opinion, I would say the best brand of cosmetics. It was such a wonderful opportunity and experience, but it came at such a pivotal time because it was hard. It was anybody who's ever moved to a new place, whether it be by yourself or to start a new career, or even if you have a significant other that you're moving with, it can be really tough. And I think previously, whenever I moved to Lafayette for my first broadcasting job, whenever I moved from Lafayette to New Orleans, it was for my career. And I felt so confident, and it was something that I was doing for just me on my own. And it ended up working out beautifully. So in my mind, I was somebody who could just move from place to place and not have any issues. And I just made friends easy, and I was open to adventure. And it wasn't until I made the move to Nashville that I discovered, okay, it's not always that simple. Sometimes it's very complicated, and sometimes you don't meet people, and it is more difficult. Next, I am going in now with blush. I'm going to use my liquid blush from NARS. And I'm just going to go in with this little duo fiber brush. A little bit goes such a long way with this blush, but it is so beautiful, so natural looking. So to highlight my cheeks, I'm going in with the Opal Illuminating Powder. The next step, I'm going to take that copper eyeshadow and I'm going to go underneath my lower lash line. And the next question on my list says, what is an item that you could not live without? And I've had plenty of time to think about a great answer. I really have no excuse for why I don't have a good one. I would say on the days that I'm really running out the door, very minimal makeup, and there are plenty of days where I don't wear anything, I try to always do a little bit of mascara, so that would probably be my number one item. Not even necessarily a specific brand. But I guess if I had to narrow it down to one thing, but I'm sort of an all or nothing person when it comes to makeup. I do have my more natural makeup, but even my natural makeup is highlighter, blush, CC cream, mascara, and a lip. I would say that would be my most basic makeup application. If I have nothing on, then I have nothing on. Then I'm just committed to the bare face. But it's either that, a minimal makeup, or every single step. With my blank, well, it's not really blank, with my original fluffy brush with no additional product, I'm going to blend out that lower lash line area with the top. How big is your makeup collection? It's pretty big. Working in cosmetics, occasionally I get sent something that I request for PR. I don't really get a lot of big PR packages or anything like that. I see some people's photos on Instagram and watch their videos, and they have a huge makeup collection with giant dressers that are just filled with products, and that is not what we're dealing with. It is a huge collection for just like a normal person who loves makeup. But it's anything crazy, and I do try to keep it within reason. I have no desire to have one of these giant makeup collections where I have so many products that I don't even really know what all I have. And once a week I'll go through and I'll try to keep everything organized. Things get a little bit hectic during the work week whenever I'm getting ready, so one day I like to go in, generally on Sundays, I'll do a deep clean of my makeup brushes, I'll put everything back, take inventory of what I have, maybe what's running low, and I try to reorganize everything. One of the other questions was, how do you keep everything organized? So any sort of drawer organizer, I have one in here, I'm not sure you guys can see it, but I'll take a picture. This is really helpful. I think I got that one at Joann Fabrics, Michael's, the Container Store, any place that has organization, but also the bead department I have discovered is a great resource for any sort of storage organization. Something else that I do have is I'll keep some of my palettes in these old Chanel sunglasses boxes. So I have a couple of these, and that's where I'll store. These are all eyeshadows, blushes, but I think I have like 2 of these, and I have them in an area where I can still access them, because otherwise having them stored in something like this, I'll put it in a drawer and then never pull it back out. And it's 2 of them. There's not like I have buku palettes that are just stuffed in boxes. That wouldn't really make me happy. All of the makeup that I buy brings me joy. It makes me really happy. I'm excited to purchase it. I respect the products. I enjoy them. I appreciate them, and I want to be able to use them. So I try to not hoard too much makeup, although my collection is pretty big. I have a lot of foundations. I would say that's the one thing, and lipsticks. Foundation and lip products I probably have way more than the average person. Somebody asked what I find the most fascinating about makeup, which I thought was a really good question, a very deep question. There are several things that are fascinating about makeup. For me personally, makeup is a great creative outlet. It's cathartic to sit down and just take my time, do a full face of makeup. Generally, I might have my oil diffuser on or some light music, drinking my coffee, getting ready for the day. It's sort of my time to decompress and get my mind right. And then at the end, if everything goes according to plan, I generally feel more confident, more beautiful, ready to take on whatever the day throws at me. So I love the power of makeup. I think it absolutely is fascinating. I think it's fascinating how it connects people, even on this platform. I've had the opportunity to converse with a lot of you guys in the comment section, or maybe we work together to order things through Nordstrom now that we've been connected through YouTube. Whatever it is, I feel like we have a connection, and we might not live in the same area, we might not be in the same country or share the same style or religion or political views or anything else in common, but we all kind of come together to talk about our love of makeup. It can open conversations between people who may not realize that they have something in common. So I think it can be a great uniter. But also, because I work in cosmetics, I think I get to see it from a lot of different perspectives and through several different lenses as well. Because I'm a consumer and I'm a beauty enthusiast. I love makeup, I love playing with makeup. But when I'm at the makeup counter, I often hear from people who don't share that same love of makeup. You know, I've had women come in and say things like, my sister, my friend, my mother, husband, whoever, says that I should be wearing mascara, or I need to find a lipstick color that's more like this, or I've reached a certain age and I feel like I need to wear this and they don't really want to be there, and you can tell it's not something that they enjoy, it's not something that's fun for them, but they feel for whatever reason that they need to wear makeup or they need to wear a certain type of makeup, and it can be very overwhelming. I think for some people, I take for granted because I love it and I work in it and it's like roses and rainbows every day, but for some people it's more of a chore, it's stressful and it's overwhelming and it's something that they don't really enjoy as much. I actually had a woman the other day, without giving too much away, I mean, this was clearly a real situation for this person. She was so dead set on a specific lipstick color that her friend had recommended to her that was either out of stock, I think it had been discontinued, and we just had a tester, and we had gone from counter to counter to try to match the color in different brands so that she could have the color that her friend recommended. She didn't like makeup, she didn't really wear a lot of colors, but it was something that her friend wore and her husband said he liked it, so she wanted that lipstick. We couldn't order it for her because it had been discontinued. No other counter had an identical shade. And when I tell you, this woman said to me, well, just throw the tester in the trash can and I will walk away and then I'll pick the tester out of the trash can. Or can I just buy the tester? And it was such a moment where I thought, this person is crazy. There are so many different amazing lipsticks in this department. There are so many similar shades. The difference is nobody would know. Absolutely nobody can tell the difference. How she could tell the difference, I have no idea. But she was so in her own head about it that she says to me, well, I'm not above trash can lipstick. And I had to stop and say to her, yes, you are. Like, you don't want trash can lipstick. I'm not going to throw the tester in the trash can for you to pick it out. I'm not going to sell you the tester. We're going to find a lipstick that makes you feel good, that is available, and let it go. Like, you don't need to be that extreme about one particular item, especially lipstick, when you think of how many lipsticks there are on the market. So that was one of these, and I have so many stories. I mean, anybody who's worked in retail has stories. But that was a moment where I thought, wow, I always look at makeup as such a positive, uplifting, empowering thing. But for some people, it can feel very defeating. So I hope that she felt empowered, and I want to empower all of you to trust your gut, go with what feels right, and have fun with it. And if makeup is not fun, or you're not absolutely loving the products, then maybe step away, or don't wear those products, or don't follow the trends that you think you need to follow. Wear what feels good and do what feels right, because it's not that serious. It really should not be a source of stress. In a very stressful world, when we have a million things going on in our lives and we have to juggle so much, and there's so many things of true importance going on in the world, finding a very specific lipstick shade that's no longer available should not bring you to dumpster diving. That's my piece on that. I honestly can't believe that I'm getting through this video. Hopefully story time didn't take too long. I'm gonna go ahead and go in with this YSL mascara. I don't know the name of this one. Is it on here? So small I can't see. Vinyl Couture, that's the one it is. So I'm using the YSL Vinyl Couture mascara. Now that mascara is done, the last step is lips, and I have 3 products. I'm going to line my lips, use a liquid lipstick, and then top it off with a gloss. I'm using the Lipstick Ideal lip liner. This one is from, ooh, that has some leftover. This one is from Lancome. Next, I'm going in with this Ambriche liquid lipstick. This was in my Kinder Beauty box for February, and I butchered the application, so this is my redemption. I applied way too much in that video, and I felt like it was too drying, and I didn't necessarily love the formula. And ever since then, I've been wearing it, but only applying a very thin layer, and I absolutely love it. It is still a little bit, not dry, it's simply matte. And since I prefer hydration, I am going to top it off with a gloss. I'm using the Dior Lip Gloss 343, and this is one of their ultra glosses, which I know they've phased out or they're in the process of phasing out, but you could use the Hollow Pink or even just the Pink Lip Plumper, and it would be very similar. Because this isn't really going to add much color. It's really just adding shine and hydration. Every once in a while, whenever I've done my lipstick, I feel like I need to balance out my cheeks. I might go in with a teeny tiny bit of blush. I'm actually not even going to add any more blush. I'm just going to simply use my brush to just dust on a little bit more. And that completes today's Get Ready With Me While Getting to Know Me Better video. So hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Leave me any of your comments or your questions down below. I want to get to know you guys better. So feel free to answer any of the questions down below in the comment section, and we will keep the conversation going there. As always, I will be linking all of the makeup products that I used today on my face down in the description box for your convenience. And for more videos like this, don't forget to subscribe.